So, my dear friends, as I continue and I wrap up on the teaching and speaking on forgiveness, feelings, and the feeling of anger and the emotion of anger, I want to leave you with this beautiful, wise sayings. When it looks as if nobody is going to help you, nobody is going to come to your help, nobody is going to come to your rescue, everything is going to be dark, I am actually saying that you should be able to take control of your life. You should be able to manage that anger. And there are a couple of methods that you can use. The first thing is, when you feel like you have been taken advantage of, you've been hurt, no matter how bad it is, if you've been caught in the line, you are on the highway and there are people who are honking behind you and trying to do things which are just making you irritable. The first thing is not to react and to respond to them. The first thing to do is to make an assessment of what's going on and then evaluate your feelings. You could feel like rage. Many of the times when you've seen people who, maybe for some mysterious reason, somebody just said something to them and they immediately pick up a gun and they shoot the person down and the person dies. And then later they start crying. They don't actually know what made them to do what they did. So in a split second, there is a response to what was done to you. But the first thing you need to do is to make an assessment of what has happened. Who has hurt you? When did they do it? How did they do it? Why did they do it? What did they do? Because at times we may just be angry over a statement a person made innocently. Even there may be acts that people make which are innocent in the sense that they felt like what they were doing, that they did not have the mens rea of the final consequence of the act. There are people who have killed other people, but they did not intend, they did not have therefore a thought in their heart to kill. And if you actually made an assessment of the situation of what happened and everything, you will come to the conclusion that if you had just responded, you may have been inappropriate in your response to them. So there is a need for you to evaluate the situation so that your response to what is done to you is appropriate. If you don't do that, you may hurt yourself. You may be like one of those people who they just what they call the knee-jerk reaction. And then the consequences of your own response. Somebody may hurt you, and the way the law reacts to or relates to what they did to you may not be as hard as what they will do to you based on your response to what they did. So I want you to always know this. The Bible keeps talking about a violent person, a person who keeps grudges, a person who keeps resentment, an angry person who will not allow the Bible to have its way. There are times when we just misunderstand people's behaviors. And instead of them to go back to say, hey, can you explain why you did this or you did that? We respond to them in an inappropriate way. And then the consequences of our inappropriate response begin to follow us. I want you to have it in your spirit. I want you to have it in your mind to know that things you may perceive or your perceptions may not always be reality. And then when the reality comes and you have acted on your perception, you start crying. A lot of people are hurt. Slavery of its own has engrammed a lot of things in the hearts of people. So there is hurt, there is pain, there is anger, and it begins to boil out in riots and destruction and all of that. Number two, where you make an assessment, you may need to retreat. Step back. Step back. After you've made the assessment and your conclusion is that you've been hurt, you need to step back. Then when that anger and the rage is in you, step back and take some deep breath. Take out your phone and call somebody. There may be times when you may just have to leave the environment. Maybe it's an abusive relationship and you are a spouse who has been abused and there's a gun in the house. It's not because somebody is insulting you or verbally abusing you. That means that you have to pay them back by taking the gun and shoot them. If somebody slaps you, that is an abuse. If a spouse hits you, that's an abuse. But you may not be bleeding. You may not even have any pathology. It's inappropriate for you to respond in anger by going to the drawer and pulling out the gun. Because when you shoot and kill the spouse and you are going to defend it on abuse, when the forces of law and order come in there, they may ask you why. There are no elements of the reasons that you want to use to justify your killing the person. Oh, we are going to burn down the store and the house and the building. But the truth about it is that in the depths of your heart, you know that you are not doing that because of what happened to you. You're doing that for other reasons. And you're allowing the devil to use your anger to destroy. So I'm not saying that you should not be angry. The Bible does not say that we should not be angry. The Bible says that let us not let the sun to set over our anger. There's a lot of domestic abuse going on. Spouses are abusing spouses. And there is a way that spouses are responding to those. I just called the police. I just killed my husband. I just killed my wife. What happened? Oh, he's been constantly insulting me. But it's something which has been going on. And you have been letting the anger to build and fester. Because if he has been constantly insulting you, why did you not seek redress? Why did you not confide in somebody else? Why didn't you call a pastor? Why didn't you call a counselor? Why didn't you call a chaplain? Why didn't you call a confidant and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and this is how I feel. I'm angry. There are times when I feel like I should just commit suicide. I should just hang myself. I can't take this any longer. But killing yourself doesn't solve an abusive relationship. Taking a gun from the drawer. Secondly, you shouldn't even be having guns in your house if you know that you got anger problems. Because you will use the gun inappropriately someday, sometime, somewhere. So my dear friends, stop playing around with your emotions. Stop playing around with your feelings. The feeling the feeling of anger, the emotion of anger, the resentment that goes with the spirit of unforgiveness can be pent up, can be bottled up, and can be used to bring about inappropriate reactions and responses, which will lead to regrets. There are lots of people we don't see this. Young ones who before they say boom, they already brought out the gun and they shot their friend to death. And when the authorities come, you are going in for it. And then you start crying. I don't know what came of me. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Listen to me, that I don't know is not a defense in the court of law. And now in some states, they kill children. They murder you as a penalty for murder. For some, you are going to be in prison for life. You don't want to be behind bars for a year, for a few months. You know what life means? So I am telling you that if you don't know how to manage your anger, you're going to actually create a lot of problems for yourself. Because like I said, you have to own the anger. And then you channel it properly. Channel it properly. Think about your feelings. When it's creating sadness and all of those emotions, you may just need to go to a counselor, maybe seek some